Hello, I'm Beshero. Today I'm going to talk about questions to never ask a candidate during an interview. Now let's face it, unless you're a recruiter that does this for a living, interviews people for a living, most hiring managers only interview candidates just a handful of times during the course of the year itself. One of the things that I have found when I partner with department heads interviewing candidates is that inappropriate questions will oftentimes infiltrate into the discussion. And unless you meet with everybody first, unless you partner with your candidates, not your candidates, but your department heads first, sometimes you're going to run into questions that are real zingers that can cause you and your company problems. So here are some questions that must be avoided at all costs when interviewing candidates for employment. What year did you graduate from high school? Now this question comes up innocently from time to time, especially when the candidate puts his high school education and it's like, oh, I went to that same high school that candidate went to. I wonder if he was in my class, or I wonder if he was in the class ahead of me or behind me. This question must be avoided because high school graduation dates can label the age of a candidate. This brings up a whole slew of issues regarding age discrimination, as age discrimination for anybody who's above the age of 40 is illegal. Unless the age of a candidate is a bona fide occupational qualification for the job, that is, one in which the age is essential for the job, this question and any questions that can lead to age deduction in the hiring process must not happen and are not permitted. Here's several other questions that can muddy up the waters regarding a person's ethnicity and national origin. Are you a U.S. citizen? This question is awkward on a couple different levels. First off, the application process. The application should ask, are you authorized to work in the United States? There are many people who are not U.S. citizens that are authorized to work in the United States. Asking if you're a U.S. citizen can lead to problems such as national origin of a candidate, which is a protected class and cannot be discriminated against. Here's another question. Oh man, I love your accent. Where are you from? Again, this question's not allowed as it falls into the area of national origin discrimination. Our country is a mosaic of many cultures, full of people who are authorized to work in this country. If a candidate who has an accent is denied a job, that question basically, if that question's asked in the interview, that candidate could look back on that question as discriminatory and could have a case if the candidate didn't get a job. So be careful about asking about accents and things such as that, especially in the interview process itself. Here's another question which, believe it or not, I actually ran into. What language do you speak at home? I couldn't believe my department head who I was partnering with asked that as a possible question to a candidate. Unless there's a specific reason tied to this job, this question falls into the national origin of discrimination area itself. If there's a need for a multilingual employee, this needs to be asked in the job application as what languages do you speak? So be careful. Don't ask that question, what language do you speak at home? Other questions that can cause problems to our interviewers can include, how many kids do you have? Are you married? This question generally comes up from inexperienced interviewers who are making small talk. It's natural to try to find somebody to have common ground with a candidate to see if they're similar to you. However, these questions, when tied to a job interview, can lead to trouble because it's not legal for an employer to make a hiring decision based upon a candidate's family status. Do you have a disability? Again, this question can cause problems as a candidate who gets denied a position because he or she was denied a position because of disability. This is not allowed according to the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's much better to ask, are you capable of doing the job? So, how can you avoid this from coming up? Give the employee or the potential employee the job description and outline on the job description the physical and the job demands that go into the job itself. So there are no questions about this. Do you have health insurance? Or do you need health insurance? Never ask this question in an interview. Rather, come right out in the phone screening process before you bring the person into the interview and say whether or not the position has health insurance or not. Ask the person if he or she is still interested in interviewing once you go over the health insurance. By asking, do you need health insurance during the interview process, this can be discriminatory, as the candidate could argue that the potential employer is trying to pry into their marital status, trying to pry into their health status, trying to pry into their employment status of the candidate's spouse and the candidate's financial status, all of which are not legal to ask in the interview, either directly or indirectly. What church do you attend? Unless this is a bona fide occupational question that's pertinent to the job, don't ask this. Again, this falls under the line of possibly discriminating on the basis of religion. Unless you are hiring for a specific church role, such as a minister, a priest, or a nun, don't ask this question. When conducting interviews, always stay focused on the job. Stay focused on the job description. You won't go wrong by doing that. Have your job descriptions updated, ready to go. Give the candidate a copy of the job description to view. I found that behavior-based questions based upon the job at hand, based upon real-life events that have happened on the job, are often telling and are good indicators of whether or not an employee can do the job, rather than going down these slippery slopes of these forbidden questions. If you have any questions regarding these regarding the interviewing process, please feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached at gregbesh@gmail.com, or you can reach me out on LinkedIn. Again, take care, make good decisions. Thanks.